Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're just joining me for the first time, hi, my name is Angelfish, pronouns they them, and welcome to another episode, or rather the second episode, of my little Dollidays event, which I am trying to put out 2 videos a week that are doll related, leading up to the holidays, and none of them are gonna be reviews. Just flat out, no unboxings. That's my one rule for this video series. I just want to do this to have fun, and today's topic is my doll customs, specifically every face-up slash full repaint that I've done this year. Now, why am I limiting it to just my repaints? And if you're coming from my last Dollidays video, which was my Laguna collection, 2 of the dolls in this video you have seen already, which is perfectly fine. But they are here because they fit the criteria. And we're gonna go with them first, actually. I was gonna do this in chronological order, but I might as well get these out of the way. This girl was done in October of 2023 at the time I'm recording this, and this girlie was done in March of 2023 after the next doll that I'm going to show. But I just wanted to, do a little time capsule of where I'm at currently with my face-ups, and there will certainly be more face-ups after this video comes out. There will probably be another face-up next week, if I'm being honest with myself, because the semester is starting to slow down, and I'm going to have time to do more face-ups, which is good for my sanity, but also maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, further ado, since these dolls are already featured in another video, I'm going to get them out of the way. If you want a closer look at them, you can pause, but I think it's time to really get this showboat on the road. Starting with this year's humble beginnings, aka Yasmin. She was technically not the first doll that I repainted this year because one of those Lagunas that I showed you, the one labeled as March, that was her second face-up. But Yasmin was in between her first and second face-up, and so she's sort of like our jumping off point, a really good jumping off point, because she was earlier on enough in the year to where I was still kind of like, kind of getting good, kind of getting to a place where I like, but, we really took off and hit the ground running this year. This is my, my first ever doll repaint was in 2019. So I've been doing this for half a decade. And this year is where I'm finally starting to see the results of that I am actually really proud of, that I have been showing off on social media. I don't do process videos as often as I want to, if at all, mostly because it's really hard for me to film myself while I'm painting, and I don't have the patience to do that. I have the patience to paint. I don't have the patience to set up a camera and make sure that I'm capturing every little thing that I do. But, yeah, that's why I'm not a doll customization channel. Anyway, the reason that Yasmin got a face-up from me is because I ordered her with a Target gift card, and her face arrived absolutely botched. It was bad. So I decided to try my hand at fixing it, and I didn't know that she had a pixel screening until I tried wiping her face off with acetone. We made it work, and then a couple sprays of Mr. Super Clear later, and some colored pencil drawings, and then finally some watered down acrylic paints to really solidify everything, and a spray of MSC afterwards, we got something that I really, really like. And she is, again, a really good, indicator of where I was more towards the start of the year. Because we already got that Laguna out of the way, it's time to move on to a different Laguna. This one! Hello! She is a full custom in the sense that we went a little bit more than just her face. It's also her hair, her arms, her body. She's got body paint. We stripped the paint off of the factory arms, and that left us with, because G1 Laguna's arms and hands are like transparent webbing. Yeah, underneath that, it's all clear. Underneath that factory paint, like it's painted on. So just with some acetone, I wiped that clean and then rinsed it with soap and water several times so that the plastic didn't degrade, and was able to work off of it after that. She is really cute. She is what I call my fusion Laguna, where she's sort of like my take on what a cross between G1 and G3's elements would be. Now, obviously on a G1 doll. but, you know, I'm doing a really bad job of describing the artistic intent I had behind her. Most people just see her as my take on G3 Laguna, and I mean, that's not wholly incorrect. I mean, I did use a G3 Laguna sweater. We have the transparent limbs. It's there. Like, I get the comparisons, but she's more or less sort of like a just my own take on the character. And her hair is acrylic yarn. Some people in the community hate acrylic yarn for some reason, but like I always say, those of you who hate acrylic yarn have never worked with it and probably never will, so I don't know what to tell you. It's actually really fun when you get to using it. Then after her, we have a little duo. Oh, Frankie, your top is falling off, my dear. So these two are my little dramatic makeup customs, where I just wanted to do some drag-inspired makeup on a couple of dolls. Frankie's is actually inspired by a photo shoot that was done by a very specific drag artist whose name I am forgetting at this very important time. I am completely drawing a blank on it, but it was everywhere on social media when I made this face up back in, like, May. Like, it was everywhere. I think in my original thing I was like, oh yeah, that was inspired by this specific artist. I hate when this is why I should write things down, but just know this is a reference. Like, obviously I tweaked it to be a little bit more Frankie-centric, but this is inspired by a very specific artist. Now, Claudine, that's completely original. She does not draw any artistic inspiration from any specific, like, photo shoots or drag artists. She is just bouncing off of what I already did for Frankie and just sort of adding a little bit of pop art into it. I don't know what I was doing with the dots. It's kind of giving Freak du Chic, but also not at the same time. And these two were really where I, like, started to get more confident with my face-ups, and shortly after them, we did this guy, who in turn was a redo of a really old custom that I did back towards the start of my doll customizing journey. It's the same base doll, obviously, like the exact same doll. I just wiped off his original attempt that I did in 2021, was his first face up, and this is his new one. And I'm really proud of it. And he is the start of my brown eyes side glance agenda that I have, apparently, because looking at a lot of my doll face-ups, there are so many side glances, and most of them are dolls with brown eyes. I guess that's just what I gravitate to as an artist, but he was the start of it, so... Well, actually, no, technically the Laguna was the start of it at the start of the year, but he was the one that was like, okay, it's the second doll, this is starting to become a pattern, and you'll see. Take a drink of water every time that you see a doll with brown eyes and a side glance in this video, because it's going to be a lot. These next two dolls were made together because they are boyfriends, and I made them in June. This is Andy. This is Trevor. They are college students. I haven't really worked on them since the summer. I really just did their faces, threw them in some clothes, and called it a day. And I will get back to them probably during my winter break, because Andy still needs hair, and it's going to be yarn because his face is not, like... I don't want to ruin his face, okay? I don't like to do reroots after I've painted a face. I will, if I'm doing a reroot, it's before the face gets painted, because otherwise the face will crack, in my experience. But yeah, Andy used a old Portergeist doll who was incomplete and missing a lot of things that I found in, like, a $5 bin at, I think, the flea market a while back. He'd been sitting in my stock box for a bit, so we made him into an alien. I suppose these two could be Monster High fan characters in the sense that they are both not human and use Monster High dolls as bases, but I don't quite see them that way. Maybe they are alumni. Who knows? he had a Polaroid camera, a spare little. I don't want to repaint it because I don't want it to come off on his hands, because there's a risk with that, even if it is sealed. But his hands are like the perfect sculpt for holding things, so I wanted to give him like a little Polaroid camera. And the story that I developed around him is that he's a photography major, and that's sort of his shtick. And also green, very, very green. That is also his thing. Trevor is music major. He uses the Create a Monster Gargoyle, who I have had this base doll sitting in my stock box since 2020. He came nude, no original clothes, because I bought him on eBay during the pandemic, and we just sort of went from there. You know, he'd been at the bottom of the box for a while, finally put him to use, and I am really happy with the way that both of them turned out. I am really happy with the way that I did Trevor's lips. I think they're just really, really fun. And the eyes on both of them are really good too, but that's like my little break in the side glance agenda, because we immediately go back to it with the next doll, who is another Monster High doll, but is actually the character that the base doll is, and that is this Laguna face-up. She was done in the middle of summer. She was done using a Skulltimate Roller Maze Laguna who had been through several glue seepage treatments to the point where it is no longer a problem for her, knock on wood. So I decided to finally, customize her, let her have her hair down, and she is absolutely one of my favorite face-ups that I have done this year. As a result, she is so gorge. Like, I cannot get over the eye makeup that I gave her. It is a rainbow gradient. Now, this was in early July, shortly after Pride Month had ended, but she was still sort of thematically relevant. Her nails are also rainbow, by the way. That is another thing that I did with her. Come on, show the world your manicure. Your little manicure. Absolutely adorable. We love you, Laguna. She's got like heavy blushing, which is blue, or I suppose it's contouring, not really blushing. And I did baby hairs on her, which was my first time doing baby hairs in a while, and I really like the way that they turned out. They were very good practice for... She's in the previous video, but one of my Laguna restyles also has them. So, it was just a really good practice for future reference. Definitely have some Claudine ideas that are going to need them. After her, in chronological order, comes my custom Barbie, who is a mermaid. I made the tail myself. I made the bra myself. My mom made the necklace a while back for, just for me to have in case I ever needed it for doll purposes, and well, it finally came into use. The hair I did myself. She is a reroot. And it is Saran, left over from a Frankie reroot that I did earlier in the year. And I'm really happy with her. And she also continues the side glance agenda, if you cannot tell. She is absolutely gorgeous. And before any of you have anything to, say, in terms of what face sculpt you think she has, I'm going to just put it all on the line. This is a Millie sculpt. I did this on a Millie sculpt. Millie, the Barbie face sculpt that everyone says is tired and ugly. So, it's not that Millie is a problem in terms of her use in the play line. It's just that Mattel don't know how to paint her. Because she absolutely can be pretty. It's just they keep giving her the wrong lip shape on her screenings in actual product dolls. And they keep not playing with the eye makeup like they used to. Like, you can absolutely do a lot with a Millie sculpt. So I think this proves... this proved to me that Millie is not an ugly face sculpt by any sense of the word. Like... she is really fun, and I really love the glitter that I did on her. It's very, very, early 2000s, and that's kind of what I was going for, sort of mermaid fantasy inspired. And this was for the Barbie movie that was happening during the summer. I just wanted to have, she's not inspired by any of the mermaids that are in the movie, but I just wanted a mermaid Barbie. And none of them have appealed to me since the early 2000s, so we made our own. And she might get a sister later this year or early next year. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Barbies are expensive. Far more expensive base dolls than Monster High, which is kind of saying something. Now, after her, we have Miss Alien Madison inspired Laguna. I don't know why I did this as a thing, and also her reroute is a little funky because it is human grade Kanekalon, which means it sits kind of weirdly rooted into a doll's head. If it were an American Girl doll, it would probably lay a little bit better, but no, it's a Monster High doll, so it's sitting like a fuck-ass Bob, and there's nothing I can really do about that. But she was really the only time I've ever done green eyes on Laguna, at least in a while. Like, I used to, and then this year I just kind of stopped giving Laguna green eyes. She's probably my least favorite Monster High face-up I've done this year. She's not bad. She's just kind of... the other dolls are better than her. The other dolls are definitely better than her. I don't want to be mean to her because I did make her, but, you know, you win some, you lose some. Not every face-up can be perfect. It was in July, I want to say, like mid to late July, I think I made her. Approaching the end of summer, we have my movie Laguna-inspired repaint. The forehead scales I didn't do. Those are original from the doll. But her eyes and lips and brows and makeup I did do. And her outfit, I also did that. But, I think she was also in the last video too. But I will go into it a little bit more in this one. So she wasn't supposed to be a repaint. She was originally just going to be a redress. And then I stayed up until 1 a.m. working on her because for some reason my brain was like, I have to make her unique. I have to make her stand out from the other two Fluorescent Lagunas in my collection. She can't just be the same face screening. So originally it was just going to be her lips, and then her lips, while I was removing them, I was like, oh, let me remove her eyebrows. And then I removed her eyes, and we just sort of, we were like, okay, we're doing this. We did absolutely no planning for this. We referenced a promo shoot of the Monster High live action cast for the first movie for her makeup. This being like the yearbook photos that they did that they posted to their Instagram ages ago. And that was our makeup reference, and we just sort of went from there, and that is how she was born. She was born off of a promo shoot and a whim. And honestly, I am kind of shocked. I don't think I will ever get eyes as nice as I did for her in terms of the coloring. Which is kind of weird because some of you are going to say, you're on some bullshit. There are definitely dolls that have eyes that are just as good in this video. But for me, she's kind of like a magnum opus. Like, she's just so professional. I've had people think that she was a doll leak on me before, which is kind of stupid because I just kind of, side note, I'm like, how does that happen? Then again, the Monster High community does kind of believe anything and everything, but I am really proud of her. And after her, we have Frankie again, another Frankie, yay! Which was a redo of a Frankie that I did very early on in this year. I just really wanted to redo their face. I wanted to give them justice because I didn't like the original face-up that I gave them. The more I looked at them on my shelf next to my other customs, the more it was like they need an update desperately if they're ever going to fit in. And now they do fit in, and now they have lime lips, which it's... The entire restyle is black and electric green themed. The only thing that would make it more perfect is if this streak in their hair was neon green, but it isn't, it's blue. And we're not going to change that because it would be very dangerous to do so on a fully face-up having doll. But, you know, this was another one that was done on a whim where it's like, I need to update this doll screening or it's going to drive me up a wall. Next up, we have my G3 Sally doll, which used a Iridescent Frankie for her. Now, the hair is yarn. I got it from Michael's. This was made before I knew that we were getting Skeletor dolls. Like, I think 2 months. This was, I want to say, end of August, beginning of September. Like, very early on. Halloween season hadn't officially quite started yet. They were just putting out the fall decorations at Michael's. When I got her, because they had like no Halloween stuff out when I was getting the supplies for this. And I am really happy with the way that the eyes turned out. Very cute. I did little stitches in them. It's kind of funny because when Sally first leaked, a bunch of people, I think they were just being nice, were like, oh, your custom absolutely devoured the official one. And I'm like, really? I don't know about that. Because there are definitely some things that I would change about this, namely the teeth in the lips. I don't think I would have done that. I would have probably also made the lips a lot smaller if I were to go back. But I still really like her. And the dress I made entirely from actual, like, this is an actual patchwork dress. Did I make the designs on each patch? Yes, because I'm insane and I didn't actually feel like buying fabric that was in each color. I just used fabric markers and acrylic paints to dye each section. But then, like a mad person, I decided to make it an actual patchwork dress and sewed each panel together like that. Like, that is just actually how the dress is assembled. It's kind of insane. And I will never do something like that again because it is an absolute nightmare. But it was a learning experience, and what is customization as a hobby than nothing but full of learning experiences. Next, we have the doll that some of my friends thirst after, my skeleton dude. He doesn't have a name. He hasn't had a name this entire time. I feel like such a fake parent for not naming him. But he's not the only doll in here that doesn't have a name. I mean, Goth Dude is just Goth Dude. I need to name them at some point, but his eyes glow in the dark. That's a thing that I keep forgetting to tell people. I think I didn't even take a picture of it, but I did use glow-in-the-dark paint for his scleras. Like, he actually just, if I put him in front of a UV light long enough, it's like Twyla from Monster High. The eyes glow in the dark. It's kind of spooky, but he was for Halloween, so that's kind of fun. No shirt, obviously, because I didn't want to cover up the entire skeletal portion of him that I painted. I think that would have defeated the purpose. The crown is pleather. No flocking on the sides. Originally I was going to, but then I was like, I don't like the way that it would look with the mohawk that I gave him, so he didn't get any flocking. And he's just my cunty skeleton dude. Can I say that on YouTube? Are they gonna get mad at me? I don't care. And then next is the Rockstar Killer Clown, which is something that, because of the happy trail on his chest, this is another reason why I say this channel is not intended for children. This is an adult channel intended for adult collectors. Yeah, I went a little overboard with him. I'm not gonna go into it. You all are just gonna have to guess. Some of you know, some of you don't. I don't care to explain it. He's sort of inspired by killer clowns from outer space. Some of you would absolutely kill me if you knew what face sculpt I used for him. You're gonna have to guess. I'm not gonna tell you, because I don't want people coming after me in the comments. But the body he's on is a BTS body. You would not believe the amount of MSC that I used on him. His body still chips. And closing out our video with the last two customs that are technically the most recent. There's this Laguna, who is a reroot and repaint of a G2 Laguna doll, my only G2 Laguna, my entire collection. And I decided to do, I don't know what to call this style, cyberpunk? Neon core? I don't know what this is, but she's very fun, and I love her. Her face is a little glossy because the finishing spray had a weird effect on it, but she's a fish, so I don't mind. Her skin is pearlescent. It makes her makeup really pop on camera. It doesn't affect her too much, so I'm kind of happy with it. And then my most recent custom is this darling right here. They are my Dungeons & Dragons character. who fittingly is named after Laguna Beach, which is also kind of funny because they're a Triton and they're blue, which means they're also kind of a Monster High reference. It's a full circle moment for me, this custom right here, because I made that character for a campaign, I want to say in January or February, and then I came up with their design in February, and then the rest is history, and I was like, oh, I want to make them a doll, and I kept putting it off, and then I found a Gil custom that fell through in my stock box, and I was like, oh, let's give Gil a new life, and so we did, and now this is the results. Their clothes are kind of in limbo at this point in time, but it's fine. It's fine. I really like looking at their chest scales every day. It's really fun. And before I forget her too, this was my project for a found objects assignment. Her name is TV. Some of you have seen her already. She was technically made before Laguna, but she is here too. And she had a head sculpted entirely out of air dry clay. It's very delicate. Anyway, that is all the time I have for this video. It's a long one, so pat yourself on the back if you've made it all the way through my incessant rambling, and I will see you all in the next video. Happy Dollidays, and have a good night.